The most important skill in the workplace isn't good communication, it's not a good work rate, it's nothing along those lines. The most important skill in the workplace is attention to detail. And after working in recruitment now for the last 8 months, this was the number one skill that hiring managers would say that they needed in a candidate and that employees or candidates would be putting on their resumes to sell themselves. This was something that I obviously would understand the importance of, but I didn't understand how important it was until I got into recruitment. And here I'll break down why a little bit more. So, first things first, why is attention to detail so important? Attention to detail is critical in everything you do because it is basically the first and foremost most important thing when presenting information. Okay, so it doesn't matter what line of work you're in, whether you are presenting, whether you are putting up a document, whether you are focused on the marketing, whether you are doing the more background stuff. Anything you put out is a reflection of yourself and the company. Okay, so when you're doing this and you're representing a company and you're dealing with, major stakeholders and you're dealing with, let's say very high value clients and things along these lines, you want to make sure you present as best as possible. Okay, same way when you talk to a client or you're going for a job interview and you want to give a good first impression, you wear your best suit, wear your best cologne, do your hair nice, all that stuff. You want to present as best and professionally as possible. Okay, attention to detail is kind of like that, but just the document version or the presentation of your work version. Okay, so it's very, very important that if you have a spelling error or things along these lines, or you're just writing sentences that just don't make sense, or you are making constant mistakes that you shouldn't be making, you need to fix that straight away. You need to be able to counter that straight away because, again, what you put out is a reflection of you and a reflection of the company, and you do not want to be responsible for being a bad reflection of the company and how clients see you. Okay, even just the smallest of things, of like a spelling error or not answering a question directly in an email or things along these lines. If you're representing the company, these are things that can tick off your bosses, and rightly so. Okay, you don't want to run the risks, you don't want to burn bridges, so make sure you get this attention to detail on lock as early as possible when you start your new job. All right, now, what does poor attention to detail do? So I'll give you guys an example. All right, so we put up an ad for a client service manager position. Okay, and with this, obviously, we had a good ad response. You typically do for these types of roles, and we had a good ad response. And there was this one lady that I wanted to put forward to the business. I interviewed her. I screened her. Sorry, I interviewed her. I thought she was great. I thought she was really, really nice and everything like that. I thought she spoke really well, and yeah, she was great. Anyways, it came to basically preparing her resume and sending it off to the business. And my director mentioned to me, she said, "Have you read her resume?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" She goes, "Did you read it properly though?" And this is where it got me. I was like, I haven't read it like thoroughly because there's a lot of words in the resume, but no. And I was like, "Have I missed something?" She goes, "Look, obviously you haven't missed anything major." And I was like, "Okay, well, that's good." But she did point out that there was not a lot, but there was a few spelling errors in the resume. So one of the things was that, this lady had highlighted that she had very good attention to detail. The next problem was that in her candidate summary or like professional summary, there was like 4 or 5 spelling errors. Now, you're probably thinking, "Oh, just change the errors or just tell the lady to change the errors." 100%, like we could easily do that. But the problem is that what this does now, and this is what I just realized, is just how quickly it is to lose the attraction of a recruiter, is that if you say you have good attention to detail, if you know that the job needs good attention to detail, and you can't even do a second check to have a look at your resume and make sure that there's no spelling errors, it's a poor reflection of you. You may think it's just, it's a dumb, silly mistake. I apologize. I won't do it again. 100%, it's not that deep. But the problem is that what that expresses to us, what that shows us is that you are happy with submitting a resume that you haven't even properly looked at. You're claiming that you have good attention to detail, yet here's your resume, here are your spelling errors, here's your mistakes, and you haven't gone back to check and you haven't gone back to fix. So either you don't have good attention to detail or you just don't care, which either or is not good. Okay, So again, this is the equivalent of, dressing nicely for a job interview. You can dress in a singlet top and gym shorts and go in for a job interview and still be the best candidate on paper. 100%. That is 100% the right way to think. But it's all about your presentation. It's all about the perception. It's all about that first impression that you give. And having a resume with spelling errors when you're claiming you have good attention to detail is not the right way to go about it. And it's not a good way to leave a good first impression. Okay. So that's a good story. I want you guys to bear in mind with how it comes across from the recruiter side of things and how it would come across from a business side of things when they're dealing with candidates, especially candidates that claim that they have good attention to detail and that it is one of their core strengths. Okay. So how to master this? What I would say is literally create a list, okay? Create lists, identify things that you need to be doing with your tasks and tick them off as you go, okay? Good attention to detail isn't just, fixing spelling errors. It's the idea of your boss telling you to do something once in the start of the day and just doing it, you know what I mean? Having that discipline to either do it right there and then if you have the capacity, or writing it down and then coming back to it later. That's another good sign of attention to detail, is somebody that listens, okay? So the second you get told to do a task, write it down, tick it off as you go, okay? Just have that discipline for those first 30 seconds to write the task down and then go back and work towards it later, okay? That's a great way to master it. And secondly, double, triple check. And another good thing, another good tip that I got from my first boss was that we do these things called candidate introductions, where when we're about to present a candidate to the business, we basically redo their resume. Like we don't change anything, but we put them in a new document and then we write a whole section about them as well. And this candidate introduction is like a whole summary basically of who the person is and why they're good for the job. Anyways, this piece is usually like 1 page, and you would do it yourself. You would then get someone else to check it. You would then check it yourself, and then you would do a third check basically, or someone else would do a third check for you, okay? So what my boss used to tell me was, she would say, write it out and go for a walk. Now, obviously, she doesn't literally mean every single time you do a document or you do something long, you then get up and go for a walk around the block. But that principle is very, very important. So when you're doing a big task and it may feel overwhelming, chances are you're probably going to make a mistake. You're probably going to have a little spelling error in there, or a full stop missing, or a capital letter missing, whatever it is. Tiny things, but again, when you're representing a company, you just want to just do it right. That's it. You don't have to be perfect, just do it right, okay? But there's opportunity for that to not happen when you're doing these massive pages of work, hour after hour after hour. So literally, do the document, move on to something else, and then go back and proof it again. Do something else, go to the bathroom, go for a walk, have lunch, come back and do it again, okay? Or look at it again. That's the best way I would say to master it, is just to basically get it done and then take some time away from it, refresh, and then look at it with a new lens and then finish it off from there. That is another good way I would say to master attention to detail in a production side of things, okay? I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys got some value from it. If you are interested in working with me on a one-to-one level, I have a free consultation link below. It links you just to a free 30-minute conversation with myself, and we can work out your goals and work out how we can work together moving forward. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys take care, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you.